Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before I call the meeting to order, I'm going to ask David Slider to come up, and David is with Grace First Presbyterian Church, and he's going to lead us in our invocation. Welcome, David, and thanks for being here.
You can get one, is that okay?
Good and gracious God, during this Christmas season, we are mindful of the reason for this season, and it's your Son, Jesus Christ. And we just pray that we would keep that in mind as we get about our busyness of our days. God, we pray for hope, love, joy, peace for every person in this community and around the world. And God, as we continue to serve you and follow you, we ask that we would continually look to you for wisdom and guidance in the things that we do so that we can be your people for your people. We pray these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Item 2 it's 6 o'clock. Item 2 on the agenda is to call to order the meeting and announce that we have a quorum present. I would let the record reflect that Councilmember Tiskus is not here this evening. Item 3 on the agenda is pledges of allegiance to the United States and Texas flags be led by Councilmember Luke Williams.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the
Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you for that, Councilmember Williams. Appreciate that, sir.
Yes, sir.
Item 4 on the agenda is items of community interest. Aaron Spicer, welcome.
Mayor and Council, a few quick highlights from around town. Between the holiday hustle and last-minute shopping on the square, parking is officially a competitive sport. First come, first serve. May the odds ever be in your favor. This past weekend, the Weatherford Police Department hosted Blue Christmas, an annual event in partnership with local elementary schools to support families in need during the holiday season. Officers spent the day sharing meals, helping kids shop, and enjoying time together, thanks to our generous community partners. And Chief Hayes has officially made it big time. He's got a full-page spread in the Tarleton State University's magazine as part of their feature on criminal justice graduates leading North Texas police departments. We're not saying he's a cover model, but we're also not saying it. Chief, and I hope he doesn't forget us when he's famous. The North Texas Municipal Clerks held their annual holiday party and awards banquet at Shandor Gardens this past week. These are the unsung heroes who coordinate our agendas, record our minutes, and somehow manage to spell everyone's name correctly. The event featured annual awards, a white elephant exchange, silent auction, and a raffle. It's the one afternoon where the people who keep meticulous records of everything get to let loose, though I'm told someone still took minutes out of habit. And the 2026 Parker County United Way calendar is now available for purchase, and this year's edition features some of Weatherford's most prominent figures in ways you never thought you'd see them. I've included a sneak peek, making sure to protect the identity and dignity of those who represent the city. Let's just say these calendars prove that our local leaders are willing to do just about anything for a good cause. So calendars are available now. They make excellent gifts for anyone who enjoys supporting our community while also having some good-natured blackmail material. And the 2025 City of Weatherford Annual Report is now available, and I've left a copy for each of you on the dais. It's your chance to see what we've been up to all year in one convenient document. Copies are available at city facilities and online at our website because we know some folks prefer their civic engagement in their pajamas. And if you're looking for more fun around town, bring the kids to meet some furry friends at the Holiday Petting Zoo at the library this Friday at 10:30 a.m. because nothing says holiday magic like a goat in a Santa hat. You still have a chance to stroll through the Winter Wonderland at Pathway of Lights, happening nightly through December 31st, 5:30 to 9 p.m. at Heritage Park. And to kick off 2026, we've got First Monday Trade Days, January 2nd through the 4th, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Heritage Park. For more information on these and other events, visit experienceweatherford.com.
All right. We're just tremendously appreciative of those. Thank you for that. And Council, do you have any items of community interest that you'd like to add? Anybody? All righty, thank you for that very much. Item 5 on the agenda is approval of the minutes. 5A is consider approval of the minutes of the city council meeting held December the 2nd, 2025. Any discussion or questions on the item before we call for a motion? Entertain a motion if that's your pleasure. On the minutes.
It's not on there. 1 minute.
Stand by. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Smith. Thank you for that, sir. Second provided by Luke Williams.
Yes, sir.
Any discussion or questions on the item before we call for a vote on it? All right, let's vote on the minutes. Please indicate yea or nay on your touch screens. And the minutes pass. Let's shift down to item 6, which is consent agenda items. We have items 6A through D. Council, we can entertain those as a body, or if there's anything you'd like to split off individually for discussion, now is your opportunity to express that. Entertain a motion if that's your pleasure. Motion for the body made by Luke Williams.
Yes, sir.
Second provided by Heidi Wilder. Thank you for that. Is there anything y'all need to discuss on item 6A, B, C, or D on the consent agenda items before we call for a vote? Hearing none, let's vote on them. Please indicate yea or nay on your touch screens. Okay, council, that item passes. We're going to shift this time down to item 9 on the agenda, which is executive session items, which we will convene for executive session in the South Conference Room. 9A is section 551071, consultation with attorney related to interlocal agreement for emergency services with Parker County Emergency Services District Number 3. We'll be in recess at 6:06 p.m. We will reconvene back in this room shortly for the remainder of the council meeting. Thank you. All right, we're back in regular session, 6:24 PM. Item 10 on the agenda is action on executive session items. Council, do you have any desire to take action on item 9A?
I move to approve the interlocal agreement for emergency services with Parker County Emergency Service District Number 3 and authorize the city manager to execute the same.
Motion on the floor by Heidi Wilder as described. Appears to be a second provided by Luke Williams. Is there any conversation or questions on this item before we call for a vote on it? Hearing none, let's move forward with a vote on that item. Please indicate yea or nay on your touchscreens. That item passes. Bouncing back up to item 7, council, regular agenda items. 7A is to hold a public hearing and consider adoption of ordinance O2025-51, amending the boundaries of reinvestment zone number 1, City of Weatherford, amending the project costs of reinvestment zone number 1, City of Weatherford, Texas, and approving an amended and restated final project and finance plan for reinvestment zone number 1, City of Weatherford. Welcome, Matt Lepla.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of council. The item before you tonight is a consideration for an amendment to the reinvestment zone number 1, also known as TERS 1. This amendment includes an adjustment to the project and financing plan, as well as an adjustment to the boundary. Before we start our public hearing, I'd like to invite our consultant, Jordan Sawyer with P3 Works, to give you a little background and some details of this amendment.
Mayor and Council, good to be here tonight. Jordan Sawyer, I'm the Regional Director for P3 Works here in the North Texas area. So we're going to talk tonight a little bit about TERS number 1, again, the amendment to the project and financing plan, and the boundary update. So just a brief overview of TERSs. TERSs are a tool that a subdivision can use to really identify an area where growth can be spurred on, really with the overall intent of growing the city as a whole. So the idea here is that you are geographically identifying a specific area in which taxes that are already levied. And so to clarify, no new taxes. Taxes are already levied in this area that are used for a specific purpose. So again, allows the city to really focus where it wants to use those dollars. The way that really works is when a TERS is created or amended, the base value of that property is set. And that really sets what we call the base value. That becomes the bottom line. Any growth that's generated over there is referred to as increment, and that increment is split between the city's general fund and its tax increment fund based on the terms of that agreement and that plan. So really what we are seeing here for TERS 1, it was amended most recently in 2024. This was the boundary when we started the process this year. And what we're seeing now is this updated boundary here. You see those two changes. In the north, it's really to just align the boundary between TERS number 1 and TERS number 2. And in the south, you see the addition of this undeveloped property to be added in to help add that base value as well prior to development to allow for more increment. So following this amendment, this would be 3,800 acres approximately there. So TERS number 1, created back in 2016. Again, as you all saw on the map, really kind of on this I-20 corridor. Created back in 2016, city has participated at 75% for the first 15 years. After that 15-year period, it'll drop down to 50%. Back in 2016, the hospital district also agreed to participate at 50%, lowering to 25% after the first 15 years. Again, as we talked about, since 2016, there was also an amendment made to the boundaries last year, and we're now updating that 2024 boundaries. The TERS is designed to terminate after 2046. It can terminate earlier once all its obligations are paid off. It could also be extended based on the agreement of both the city and the hospital district if needed. So this amendment, like we said, the two mid changes we have here on the squares there, the base value of the property, adding in and subtracting out some of that property is where we get our new base value of $104 million. You'll see in the feasibility study here, that's expected to grow to just over $600 million. So lots of growth in that area. The other update here is really those projects being amended. And so you see those new 24 items listed there. Really, those are projects that the city has the discretion to prioritize as those dollars come in. So those are listed more in a identification number, and you'll see on the next map, more than they are a priority. The council still has that discretion. One thing I'd note is the plan that is before you is the exact same plan that was before the TERS board earlier today. And so it would, if approved, would be the exact same one that was considered and suggested by the TERS board. The hospital district, as mentioned, does participate in the zone. Their agreement has some limitations on where they participate without a subsequent action. But again, this is the same plan that was put before the TERS board. And so really those 24 items, I know they get a little small here on this map, but really that's where they are located. Again, really on this I-20 corridor to bring people into the city, to really support that. Lots of roadways, lots of goal to make commuting within and to spend the money within Weatherford easier and for that area. So really, what we said, $165 million of data development value, that's based on the 2016 estimates, so there are some additional value we anticipate since then, but we always want to be conservative. Again, I think we're projecting about $603 million worth of value in this area, generates about $45 million of additional property taxes. Of that, about $16 million anticipated to be retained by the city. And those public improvement costs go up into about $182 million. Again, with the idea that those can be prioritized as development comes on and at the city's discretion. So happy to answer any questions, go through any more details. Appreciate your time.
Questions on the presentation, council? We do have to have a public hearing, and you'll have the opportunity to circle back with questions if you need to. We'll go ahead and have a public hearing. Thank you for your time, sir. We appreciate you. This time we'll open up a public hearing on item 7A. If there's anybody who'd like to speak specifically on this item, now's your opportunity. 7A, public hearing is open. Seeing no takers, we will close the public hearing on this item. Council, any discussions or deliberation on the item? Recommend a motion if that's your pleasure. Motion for approval by Heidi Wilder. Appears to be a second by Mayor Pro Tem Smith. Any discussion or questions on the item? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote on 7A. Please indicate yea or nay on your touch screens, and that item passes. We'll shift down to 7B, which is hold a public hearing and consider adoption of ordinance 02025-52, amending the project cost of reinvestment zone number 2, City of Weatherford, Texas, and approving an amended and restated final project and finance plan for reinvestment zone number 2, City of Weatherford. Matt Leplo, welcome back, sir.
Honorable Mayor, members of council, the item before you is a proposed amendment to reinvestment zone number 2, or known as TERS 2. Unlike the amendment to TERS 1, TERS 2 proposed is an adjustment to the project and finance plan only. It does not include a boundary amendment to that. So again, I would like to bring up our consultant, Jordan Sawyer, with P3 Works to explain a little bit of the details with that.
Welcome back, Mr. Sawyer.
Thank you very much. So Mayor and Council, again, Jordan Sawyer, I'm the Regional Director for P3 Works in the North Texas area, here to talk tonight about TERS number 2. So this is just the project and finance plan amendment. Again, no boundary changes here, really updating the projects. So as we talked about, we went through and skipped over the TERS pieces, as I know we've talked about that already. So jumping straight into TERS number 2, there is no boundary change. Here is it identified. Really, it's the center of Weatherford. It's the part that's been decorated so beautifully for Christmas. It's really, again, bringing people in to the city center here. So what we have seen from the history, this was first created back in 2018. The city participates at 50%. There's no other participants in this area. This is also intended to expire in 2046. Again, can terminate early if needed, could it be extended if needed. As I mentioned, the main amendments here are really just changing the project cost. So you see that list of 13 items there. Those are really the new projects that are coming in. And as I said with TERS 1, this is really an identification more than a priority. This will create dollars for which the council has the ability to direct the priority of how those projects can become online. So that is the primary update we have here. A quick show of the map. So really, again, in that center heart of Weatherford is really what we're looking at. You have that insert A that breaks out a few more of those up in the top there. But really just connecting all the way down there through Main Street. So quick overview here, added development value about $175 million, generating $42 million. Of that, city is retaining half, and then the public improvement cost estimated at about that $14.1 million. So again, happy to answer any questions, talk through anything there.
Any questions for this gentleman? We do require to have a public hearing, but any questions now? We'll circle back if we need to. Let's have a public hearing. How do y'all think, Bill, about that? Okay. This time we'll open up a public hearing on item 7B. If anybody would like to speak on this item specifically, now is your opportunity. The public hearing is open. Item 7B, public hearing is open. Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing on this item. Council, any conversations, questions on the item?
Mayor, if I might.
Go top.
Yeah, just one thing to clarify for folks in the audience and then people that are listening. You saw an extensive project plan that was listed for both TERS 1 and TERS 2. And just to clarify, those are projects that show up in our various master plans, specifically our transportation master plan and our facilities master plan and things like that. They aren't necessarily, they don't mean that every single one of those projects is going to get built. They just mean they're eligible. You can use the TERS dollars if we so choose to fund those projects. So it's a tool that would allow us to build some of those projects. All those projects would still require a city council approval just like they would, or a TERS board approval just like they would. All of our normal projects, and that goes back to state law, which says anything over $50,000 has to be brought before the government, or excuse me, it's got changed to $100,000 this last session, but would have to go back before the legislative body, so.
Thanks for that clarification. I think that's very important for people to know. Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Smith for approval, second provided by Luke Williams. Anybody have any questions on this before we call for a vote? 7B, last call for questions. Let's vote on it. Please indicate yea or nay on your touch screens. And that passes. 7C is to hold a public hearing and consider adoption of ordinance O2025-53 concerning a request to amend the Title 12 zoning ordinance, Section 12-3-302, C1 General Commercial, Section 12-3-303, C2 Interstate Commercial, Section 12-5-108, short-term rentals, and Section 12-6-100, definitions to permit short-term rentals in existing family detached residences in C1 and C2 zoning districts and clarify the applicable regulations, MCA-25-0010. Welcome, Scott McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor.
If that has to be read again, you're going to get to do it.
Absolutely, we have an update for our zoning ordinance to try to do a little bit of cleanup. As referenced, the zoning ordinance for the two sections would be our C1, C2, which is our general commercial and our interstate commercial, where it is that we have existing single-family dwellings to allow for short-term rentals in those uses. We may have some existing as well as any future. Additionally, the updates will provide for updates to the definitions and clarify the sections that are showing C1 and C2 zoning districts would approve for such uses. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval on December the 10th, and staff recommends approval.
We are required to have a public hearing on the item, Council. Any questions before we open a public hearing on the item?
Do the regulations for how many can be within a certain area still apply when revising this?
Great question. Yeah, all of the same regulations would apply consistently across.
Good question. Any others before we have a public hearing? Mr.
Yeah,
Williams?
Mr. McDonald, was there a particular application or something that prompted this, or is this just more some cleanup that you'd seen in comparison to other municipalities? Or I'm just curious on what spurred this.
It is both. We have received applications as well as we have existing short-term rentals that were in the area. So
Okay.
It was just an oversight that we're looking to clean up.
Understood. That's great.
We appreciate you having the recognition of doing that and bringing it forward. So, all right, we need to have a public hearing. Okay, if we move forward with that, Council? All right, this time we'll open up a public hearing on item 7C. Anybody would like to speak on this item specifically, please come forward this time.
Hi,
Baber, welcome. We give your name and record for the address, and you'll have 3 minutes, ma'am.
Lynn Baber, 2126 Timber Cove Court, Weatherford. And just hearing about this, as it affects short-term rentals, just a question that I have. When it was before this body, the last time it was discussed, it was because there's new compliance that's required, and at that point, it wasn't fully rolled out, and people really were not being responsive to the new regulations. So I'm just wondering what the update is on that. And if anything here is like, yeah, we're changing it, but not unless you're compliant. So it's really about that compliance that was really kind of sketchy last time.
Okay, thank you for that. Appreciate you coming forward with that. All righty. Anybody else like to, would anybody else like to speak related to this item? A public hearing is open. Anybody? Public hearing? Item 7C. All right, at this time, we'll close the public hearing, council. If you have any other questions, we can discuss that, but I'd be happy to entertain a motion if that is your pleasure. Motion made by Luke Williams for
Yes, ma'am.
approval as presented.
Yes, sir.
Second provided by Zach Smith. Are there any questions? Comments? Let's vote on 7C this time. Please indicate yea or nay on your touch screens. And that passes. All righty, let's shift down to item 8 on the agenda. We have future agenda items. Mr. Hotop, do you have anything for future agenda
I do
items?
not
City
have
Council, anybody have anything? See Mayor Pro Tem, I see you shaking, and I see Heidi Wilder shaking her head.
You bet. I would just, one of the future agenda items that has already been earmarked as a future agenda items was exactly what Ms. Baber was talking about. We're going to talk about compliance in the future of STRs, right?
Yes, that is scheduled, I believe it's scheduled for the second meeting in January.
Understood, understood.
That'd be timely, and I'm glad you brought that up. So, Ms. Wilder.
Yes, I have 3. I was talking to Scott previously, and I would like to see us look at and discuss the definition of infill projects in the policy and code and regs, and specifically clarify what infill project is and how it relates to council being able to put an exception in there. So in other words, bring a policy back that says if there is an infill project that can't financially fund itself, that we can detour from the 75-foot requirements. That allows us an exception against the 75. I realize that the PD does that, but it is not clear in the policy how that functions. And I want it to be clarified and a better definition in the policy.
If staff has additional questions on what that might contain, can they follow up with you privately?
Yes.
Okay, great.
The second thing.
Let's say, this is something we want to, okay, all right, good deal.
Yes.
The second thing I'd like to do is, there are more TERS projects than there is funding, so I was hoping maybe we could go through and prioritize those projects. So as they come up, we know what their priority is as we go through the funding mechanisms.
Is this,
It could be a retreat item if you wanted it to be.
it's certainly your right to suggest an agenda item. I think that it would be, these would still require to come before us, but I think at a retreat, we could have a more thorough conversation and look at potential economic development that might drive these. But I'm just one member of this team, so.
That works for
Comfortable
me.
with that? Is everybody else comfortable with that being a retreat topic versus an agenda item? Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And the last thing is I would like to revisit the funding for the facade program to include the project that was being reevaluated based on Luke's recommendation from the last city council meeting.
Okay. Say that one more time.
I would like to revisit the funding for the facade program to include the project that was being reevaluated based on Luke's recommendation from the last city council meeting.
Okay. There were several facade grants.
Luke made a recommendation to separate 2 of them, and so I would like to reevaluate the funding for that in order to let that go before the board to discuss the project.
Okay.
Because they did not have the opportunity to have the second portion of that visited completely.
I
And Luke,
watched the meeting, but I wasn't here, but I need clarification on it. I'm not following. What we're
Luke, go
doing.
ahead and explain what you did.
I'm not entirely sure that I am following you. Councilwoman, Wilder, previously we had an economic
But hold on a
development.
second, this is not an agenda item on today's
Really
meeting.
can't have any substantive
Right. I'm not,
by what topic is being requested for the future agenda, and then we
The
can
second
determine-
half of the facade project that was for, and I can't remember the address. Ashley, do you remember the address? 203 North Main. It was combined as one, and Luke separated it into two because they only got to view the one.
Was your, and I'm sorry, I was also hearing in your request, do you want to discuss the budget for the facade? Add funds to what you had previously approved as?
Yes, because it goes over the 40,000 that are there. You would have to add some to complete that project. And we would have to amend the funding for that project before the board could consider the second half of that application that they merged.
Mayor, does that make sense, what is being requested?
not to me. The item went through the process that's defined, the Economic Development Board, then to council, and council took action on that. I don't clearly understand it, and as it's stated now, it's not something that's clear to me. Council is,
Well, Luke, you made the recommendation that you were willing to do the 14,000 for 203.
we cannot discuss the agenda item. It is not on the agenda tonight. If you want to state clearly what a future agenda item is, I'm happy to hear that, but it's got to be clear and concise as what it contains, or we're going to have to move on. Because it's not on tonight's agenda. I don't want him after me down here.
The suggestion from the last council meeting was that they combine the applications. They were two different applications for two different projects, two different streets, two different projects. And for whatever reason, they were combined, and the board did not understand that. And so Luke made a recommendation the last time that we would revisit the second portion of that application. The second application is what it's a new application.
Mr. Williams, are you asking for a future agenda item related to this item?
I am not, no, sir. No, Mayor.
Okay, Ms. Wilder, you've got to get this concise or we're going to move on. He's saying he does not have a future agenda item related to this item.
In order to have the application that was not evaluated, they need additional funds to complete that application. I'm asking that we look at the funding for the facade grant program.
Okay, that is potential future funding for a facade grant program. Okay, and currently that has a stated amount in it that was decided by council. Mayor Pro Tem Smith, and I think we've evaluated that and made that real clear. That's not something that I feel like that we need to midterm or mid-year reevaluate. So is there anybody that can support that future agenda item at this time? We're going to move on. Any other future agenda items? Okay, we've done items 9 and 10. Item 11 is citizen comments on non-agenda items. If there's anybody who'd like to comment on any item we've not discussed this evening, now's your opportunity. Citizen comments on non-agenda items. Hearing none, Weatherford City Council stands adjourned at 6:48 p.m. Wish everybody